Yo, what's up everybody? This is Damron bringing you another Elder Scrolls Online Veteran Dungeon Guide. This is for Wayrest Sewers 2. This dungeon's not too bad. This dungeon is found in Wayrest, which is the capital city in Stormhaven, which of course is found in the Daggerfall Covenant. So this dungeon's not too bad, so we'll go through, as all my dungeon guides, I will keep these as complete playthroughs. I'll fast forward through the ads to make it a little bit quicker, but I'll focus on any strategies for the bosses and anything within the dungeon that I think you guys might need to know that can help you get through this if you're having any trouble. So we're just going to mop up a bunch of the ads until we get to the first boss, and I'll see you there.
What's the building's going down here? Drugs. I'm guessing kidnapped from the city. Yes, right. You say you know these people. I'll take our friends to find out yet.
Alright, so we're coming up on the first boss. Now I will mention that you want to take those ads out before you come down here, because if you come down here you can actually start this boss fight with those ads as well. So you may as well just kind of take them out at the top of the stairs and then get started. So Master Pelingar is going to run away like a little scrub. We'll meet him later, and leave us with Malabeth the Scourger. So there's not really too much you need to worry about with this fight, but there's a couple mechanics that are important to know. So one is that she's going to drop these little AoEs, and they're not going to cause too much damage unless you just stand in them forever. And then periodically she's going to tether one of your teammates, in which you need to go to the altar on each side, as you saw there, and basically use your synergy, which is Y plus B at the same time, and then that'll free your teammate. If you don't do that quick enough, they will die, and there's not really much they can do to survive it. So other than those two little things, as long as the tank holds the Scourger kind of facing the altar, you won't really need to worry about her attacks. Now the AoEs that she lays on the ground, again, they don't do too much damage, but let's go ahead and stay out of those, make our healer's life a little bit easier. So not too much health in this boss either, so we'll just kind of finish this fight up, and we'll see you at the next boss. Alright, so our next boss, Ulgarg the Risen, you may recognize his name from Wayrest 1. It appears he rose from the dead. Basically does similar attacks. He has the AoE around him as he kind of swings his axe in a circle. Not too much damage. If you have a healer, you're going to be fine healing through that. The other thing he does is the same fear attack that he does in Wayrest 1, except this time, for the duration of the fear, you will spawn flame AoEs at your feet. And the longer that it takes you to break free of his fear, the more flame trails that you're going to leave behind. So you want to break free of that fear as soon as possible to limit the amount of flames that are on the floor. Now they're not going to give you too much problem anyway, because he doesn't have much health, and as long as you're not just standing in there with Vampire Stage 4, then it's okay. So just wipe him up and we'll move on. And I will point out, actually, you're going to see me go back here. This is the same story as Wayrest 1. A lot of people will skip this boss, not really realizing that he's back here. But if you skip him, you will void your Vanquisher your no death runs, and your speed runs. The Skull Reaper is counted for all those. So if you forget to come back here and you're wondering why you haven't unlocked those in-game achievements, it's likely because you may have missed this boss. Now he's not a difficult boss. He doesn't have much health, and he's basically an enlarged bone colossus, and he's not going to do really anything that's going to cause you any trouble. He will do a stomp attack, but as long as the tank holds his aggro away from everybody else, that's not really going to cause you any problems. And he'll also spawn in some skeleton adds, but don't really focus on them. Just keep laying down your AoEs, and your AoEs will take care of them while you focus your burst spam attacks on the Skull Reaper himself. And when you finish him off, no more of the Risen Deads will come for you to worry about. So let's finish him, and we'll move on. Alright, next up is Garen the Returned. Garen the Returned looks a little different than Wayrest 1. So he has a few attacks that we need to be aware of. First off, he will kind of stay in this area that he is at, so the tank can just grab him and hold him still. But he will kind of fire these turquoise balls that are just random. They're not really going at a particular person. Stay out of those. And then also you'll see those chains kind of come up the ground, and you'll have a few seconds before they generate an AoE and cause explosive damage. Now those can actually cause quite a bit of damage if you're standing in them. So as soon as you see those come up, definitely get out of the way. Another thing he's going to do is he's going to do this kind of tether, turquoise tether to everybody, and that is a non-dodgeable damage that will take your life away, and there's nothing you can do to avoid that damage. You just need to be able to heal through it, and a healer that is good in doing his job will make that no problem. But keep in mind, there's not really much you can do to avoid that damage. Again, stay out of the explosive chains, and after they blow up you'll see some little wraiths, specters form in, but don't worry about them. Keep your damage up on Garen, and eventually he'll die. You should only have to get through one of those tether phases, but if you have to get through two, that's okay. Just keep up the damage and wipe his ass up. And the next boss is actually right after Garen up here, the Forgotten One. We actually just pulled up all the adds up here and fought them and him at the same time, but if you are having any difficulty whatsoever, feel free to stay downstairs and kill all the adds before you come up here. But the Forgotten One himself doesn't really cause anything for you to really worry about. He's kind of a mini boss, you know, an enlarged ad per se. That's why we just kind of come up here and take them all out together. I'm not really, focusing my spam attacks on him yet. I just kind of clean him up the ads and let my AoEs hit the boss at the same time. As long as the tank holds him in a direction, you won't have much to worry about. He will fire a little, attack that's like a little duplication of himself, but that doesn't really cause too much damage. He just kind of does light attacks and heavy attacks at the tank, and that's not really anything you need to worry about unless you're the tank having a difficult time blocking them. I don't know, but just keep up the damage on him, and then we'll move on after we clear out a bunch of ads. I think up here I keep it trashy for you guys one more time. I think I die. Yeah, I die right there. Generally, you don't want to rush ahead like I did if you're the DPS, but I was, being a little reckless there. Don't do that. Alright, so for the final boss in this dungeon, there is no scroll. Master Pelingar is going to again run away and leave us with Aline and Varain. And there's no scroll to read to go into hard mode. Hard mode is actually done by killing 15 zombies while the fight is initiated. As you can see, they're in that room over there to the right. So just kind of fire an arrow, bring them over here. They don't really cause any damage for you to worry about, and they have basically next to nothing in terms of health. So just bring them over here. That's going to be your 15, and you'll clean them up with your AoEs before we start focusing on Varain and Aline Pelingar. So the last of our siblings in the Pelingar family, if we've been with me since Wayrest 1. So these guys aren't really too hard, really. They do cause the same fiendish hallucinations to spawn every once in a while in the fight like Wayrest 1. But they don't really particularly have too many attacks that you really need to worry about. There is a mechanic, which we'll talk about later, where they kind of get a shield, but we'll mention that in just a bit. So Aline has a bow and arrow. She just kind of fires light attacks around. She's not really going to cause you any troubles. And then Varain, he does this kind of dual conical and circular AoE around him at the same time. Even if you are inside that, it doesn't really cause that much damage. And Aline's heavy bow attack doesn't really cause that much damage anyway. So there's the bubble that you see. Periodically, if you are doing too much damage to one and not the other, he'll get a bubble, which will kind of make your damage not really be very effective. So if you see that bubble, just go ahead and start focusing your attention on the other one. And the bubble is time. So we actually got to a situation where we did so much damage to Aline that they both had bubbles. But that's because, you know, they really just don't have much health overall. This fight's not going to give you too much difficulty. So clean them up. We'll talk about the monster set at the end. Alright, so as you can see, that's not really a bad dungeon at all. You can finish that one pretty quick with very little difficulty. Not much things that you really have to stay away from. So the monster set is the Scourge Harvester set, which is going to give you extra health. And when you take damage, a 6% chance to create a beam that steals health over 4/6 from an attacker, and also gives you major vitality, which increases your healing received. So it's really a tank set, but it doesn't, you know, it's not really one that a lot of tanks use. And another thing about the end of this dungeon, you know, Master Pelingar is there. You don't forget to do this. You don't have to, honestly, but how could we let Master Pelingar live through all of the trouble he's caused us through Wayrest 1 and Wayrest 2? He needs to die. So let's execute him. And we'll see you at the next dungeon. I hope this helped you guys. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Arche, Lord of the Seasons, please forgive my children their trespasses, and forgive me mine for refusing to allow their departure from this world.
It's done. Too late, but it's done.